People always ask how I balance my family life with 400 shows a year. I'm just doing what I love with the people I love. It's my magic life.
I like Wes Iseli. I like everything about him.
On today's episode, we have an amazing magician, and on top of all that, he's a really nice guy. This guy has the most famous right hand in Hollywood. He's won Stage Magician of the Year from Hollywood's Magic Castle and has performed all over the world. Everybody, it's Christopher Hart. Woo! What's up, buddy? How are you?
Hey, Wes. Very happy to be here with you.
Dude, I've looked forward to this podcast since the minute I woke up this morning. I first met Chris 2014, 2013 at a magic convention, and I just hit it off, and it was so much fun and such a nice guy. And everything you've done in your career, man, I've looked up to you. You're just awesome. One of those guys that is always working, and everything's spot on, man. You really work on your craft, and you can tell.
Well, that's the job of a magician, to create the illusion of success. So, I don't know if that's very nice for you to say. I don't know how true any of it is. I just get up every day and I try and figure out how to make a living, right? And then cumulatively, I guess you do things that people see, but I'm not fully aware of it. So that's nice of you to say, and I'm impressed with you. You did this amazing job in Penn and Teller's Fool Us, and you exploded out of that. So I knew you before you were famous on Penn and Teller. I liked you just as Wes, the nice guy.
So that was one of my... Chris, in my heart, I'm still that 7-year-old kid, right? I mean, I guess we all are, but to me, it really feels like I am. And I remember showing you Flip in the after party. I showed you that close-up version in front of you. It was Mark D'Souza, Eric DeCamps, and Bob Fitch. We were all in a circle, and I was doing it, and you guys were like, nope, not seeing anything. Nope, not seeing anything. I don't understand. I don't know. That's good, Wes. I'm not getting it. And I'm like, whoa, if I'm blowing all these guys away, I got something, man. And that helped me go to fool Penn and Teller, because I'd fooled, all these big magicians, and I'm like, they had no idea. And it wasn't a wobble. It wasn't a thumb rub, and you guys had no idea. And I was like, well, I feel like I got something here. Do you remember that at all? Or is that just some kid showing you a trick and you don't remember?
No, I mean, don't take offense to it. I don't really, I believe what you say to be true 100%. And I'm sure that happened. I can maybe vaguely remember, but it just is a good lesson, right? That you're not what's amazing about you is you have, first of all, one of the best attributes to have in life in general for anything you do is passion, right? So you are super passionate about what you do, which is a huge way to become successful and have people endear yourselves to them. And I'm passionate about magic as you are, so there's still, that's the great thing about magicians, right? We have a mutual connection, and when you see somebody, I'm going to get over the map here, but I don't have a lot of close magic friends, but anybody that's in my friend zone are people I respect, not only as people, but also that they respect the art of magic, right? Otherwise, I don't really want to be around those people in close circle, because you have to respect the art form. So you respect the hell out of the art form, you push it forward. We all are just striving to be better magicians. I'm so flawed. It's incredible. It's going to spend a lifetime to master the art, which you never really do. But I appreciate people like you that are passionate about it and treat it as an art form and keep trying to make it better. So
I'm just going to keep rewinding that and listen to it over and over. What a pat on the back, Chris. You're awesome, man. No, you don't remember me that night, Chris. You don't remember me doing that trick for you? No. But that's okay. That's okay, because it still gave me the courage.
No, I remember hanging out with you, and I kind of remember that a little bit. The people you mentioned, I remember that, but there was a lot going on for me that
it was. And it was long nights. This might have been at 3 a.m. when I did that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's get started back here. What was your magic start? How'd you get started in magic? I have to ask this.
Starting to magic, it's kind of weird. It's kind of a classic thing, which I'll keep short, because normally it's pretty uninteresting, right? You either get a magic set, which I never really got a magic set, but I remember, I don't know how I found a book in the library. I probably saw a magician. I kind of vaguely remember a magician on TV as a young boy, and it probably motivated me to go to a library, and I checked out a book from the library, and I remember showing my parents, probably around 8, 9 years old, a magic trick, but I kind of didn't keep in it. And then when I got a little bit older, 10, 11, there was a local joke shop where we lived, and I bought a couple little joke magic things. But the trigger for me was a friend of mine discovered an Explorer post that was a magic Explorer post that was sponsored by the Society of American Magicians. And so it was for kids like 13 to 18. And so they met in the basement of a savings and loan building in Hollywood, which actually used to be an old radio station back in the day when they did radio shows. And they somehow got permission and they converted it to a little theater and had a little magic museum and had a little library. And my father, because I was only 13, 14 years old, my father would drive me every 2 weeks up to this little clubhouse meeting. And they had a whole program. The first level was Sorcerer's Apprentice, and you had to like make a magic table, and then you could become a sorcerer, and then you had to do a magic task. So there's all these steps, and we'd raise money by doing blue and gold shows, which are shows for the Cub Scouts, and raise money to buy tickets to see his magic shows, etc., books for the library. But that was a huge foundation. That changed everything because it gave me a place with other kids my age and focus my energy. And
I wish more clubs did that, man. Clubs nowadays is, hey, what'd you buy this month? Show me what you bought just now. How does that work? All right, we'll see you next month. That's what all the clubs around me kind of seem to be. But if they actually pushed it and had you, do little steps like that, build your own table and learn foundations, and man, that could really push the art forward.
Well, it gave me, and then we would meet after the meeting and, share donuts and soda and then give each other a positive critique and then something that maybe they could work on to make better. So the structure was really, really good. And after that, I got into the Junior Magicians program at the Magic Castle, which is still a fabulous program and an amazing library. And you could see the professional lectures. They allowed us to go on the weekends because we were 18, but we could see it's still a great program. I now, the kind of crazy full circles, I'm a trustee at the Magic Castle, and I'm the liaison overseeing that junior program. So I believe in the importance of supporting young magicians. But I'll say that junior program, as good as it is, and it's even better now because I restructured it with the new chair people, and it's an amazing, better program than it was when I started with it. But still, with that said, that Explorer Post was such a basic, strong foundation that a lot of kids don't have anymore in terms of structure of how to build an act. But anyway.
Yeah, well, kids go on YouTube nowadays, and you're pulled in 9,000 different directions, and they're learning, advanced cardistry moves, but they don't know what a double lift is, or they don't know, a king of clubs and a king of spades exists in the pack. Oh, that's just a black king. You don't know clubs from a spade?
Right, you're right. There's some amazing, the good thing about YouTube, there's good and bad, right? Exactly what you're saying is absolutely true. And back in our day, I'm so old now, that it was before internet and before VHS tapes. And then, so you'd get a book or you'd get an old timer in the magic shop if you finally worked your way up to learn another secret from him, or a little gimmick in the magic shop. But, then the VHS tapes came out. But YouTube, you have an access to amazing amounts of information. I used to send a videotape to a magician friend in Japan, and they would send me a tape back so we could exchange information that way. So we learned, but it was a slower process. But like you said, when you're learning amazing amount of information, but it's weird, it's disjointed, right? There's no real structure to it.
And Chris, I don't know, maybe I'm just an old guy now, but earning it stayed with you longer than just free information thrown at you. It has no meaning or feel. There was a trick I had to learn in a book, and it was you counted one group of cards correctly, and you reverse counted the other. And I did not understand what that meant in the book, so I kept going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But what they wanted was to count one top to bottom and count the other and reverse that stack. And I worked on it for 6 hours trying to read it out of the book, and every once in a while it would work, and that's what really confused me and kept pulling me along. But I will never forget it. When you see 10 card tricks on YouTube with a click of a button, it just washes over you, and you can't remember it the next day.
Right. Yeah, it's a different type of learning when you're reading a book and you've got to hold and process information and hold the deck and where your little finger goes. Or like you say, you have to reread over 10 or 12 times. You're feeling as opposed to just trying to mimic somebody and not understanding really the proper way to do it. Yeah, I'm with you on that 100%.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a different thing.
So you did the you did the youth at the Hollywood Magic Castle, and then you ended up working at Hollywood Magic. Was that your next step, or?
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story. Well, it's not really funny. It's just interesting, I guess. when I was 16 was the first time I went to the Magic Castle, and that was part of the Explorer post I was in. We got permission somehow to go to the Magic Castle, so we all went up there on a Sunday brunch when they were doing the brunch shows on Sundays, and we got allowed by Bill Larson, who was the creator of the Magic Castle with his brother Milt. He allowed us, even though we were, young kids, allowed us to go to the lecture. So we saw a lecture, and then Bill Larson said, "Oh, I've got a young magician from New York out here to do a TV special. Everybody meet," and he said David Copperfield. So this guy, David Copperfield, stands up, and it's the first time I saw him. He had just come out from New York. He's going to take us for a special, and I go and there's a break in the lecture. I buy the lecture notes, and then I feel a tap on my shoulder, and I look back, and it's David Copperfield, and he says, "Oh, can I look at those notes?" So I let him look at my lecture notes, and then I thought, "Oh, this guy sounds like he's going to be a big magician or something." So I had him sign my lecture notes. And then as I was leaving the Magic Castle that day, in the corner there was this old man with a deck of cards. And I thought, I think that's Di Burnett, who, as you know, was known as the Professor of Magic. He was a very influential old magician at the time, but affected close-up magic. The whole point of view of close-up magic changed a lot with him. So I got him to sign it. So I have these autographed lecture notes.
Wow.
And I think the year was 1977. I still have them. 1977, because Di Burnett put the year on there.
Wow.
And David Copperfield, which was really interesting. So that was like that. And what's crazy about that is I go, oh, I didn't know it's that 16-year-old boy that would later then meet David Copperfield in Hollywood Magic and then go later work for him, which we'll come to that part of the story as you unfold my life. This is your life, Christopher Hart. And then later I'd be the trustee of the Magic Castle. So it's really bizarre how life unfolds, right? But yeah, so I was 16, so I didn't work Hollywood Magic until I think I was about 18, part-time. And then my parents, when I was like 19, 20, moved to Seattle, and I didn't want to Washington for a new job opportunity for my dad. And I didn't want to go there because my friends were in LA, so I worked at Hollywood Magic full-time when I was like 19, 20 years old.
What was that like? Did you learn a lot there? Just learning the new stuff that was coming out and things?
Well, it was a little scary because now I'm living in this Hollywood, which is kind of a bad part of town, and it's a little scary being on my own. I'd always lived at my house with my parents, so that part was a huge kind of little adjustment. Life kind of, jump in the cold pool kind of thing. And I had to work there 6 days a week because they didn't pay much, right? So in order to pay the rent and all that. So I was working there 6 days a week. And then on Sundays, because I'm still under 21, I couldn't go up there at night. I would go up on Sundays and go watch the afternoon shows at the castle. So I was just saturated my brain constantly in magic, right? And if I wasn't busy in the shop, I could read the books, on the bookshelves. Magicians from all over the world would come over because the Magic Castle was so famous, even back then, that they'd always come to the biggest magic shop, which was Hollywood Magic on Hollywood Boulevard, just 5 minutes from the castle. And so I'd meet magicians from all over the world who would come in to work at the castle. So it was pretty amazing. I met a lot of crazy, amazing magicians and met David Copperfield through there. For some reason, he connected to me, like maybe he trusted my things. He'd buy props for his specials and such. So every time he came, I usually was someone helping him. So I slowly get to know him more and more.
That is crazy.
Yeah, so that was, and then a friend of mine called me, who I was in the Explorer post with, and said, "Oh, he was started working for David Copperfield, because David Copperfield to this day still doesn't drive. He's from New York. He never learned to drive. So he would have sometimes junior magicians drive him around because he couldn't drive, right? And also actors as his assistants and runners getting him stuff that he needed. But he, so this friend of mine who worked for Copperfield said, "Oh, hey, he was going to Vegas for the first time. He wants another crew guy. Do you want to work?" And I go, "Yes, 100%, of course, yes." So I took my 2 weeks vacation from Hollywood Magic that I had, and then the first time David Copperfield went to Vegas, he was co-headlining with other celebrities. So first time was Bill Cosby, Crystal Gale, Natalie Cole. So I was in Vegas at 20 years old, working for David Copperfield, and this big show was crazy, assembling all the illusions.
Wow.
On stage, assisting sometimes, and then went on to do some other. Then I continued with TV specials with him, just as like a magic roadie kind of person. Went to China with him on that special. You know, because he needs people. He has a magic crew, right? And you need magicians that understand magic, right? Because they're the ones setting up the stuff. So he's got his little private magic crew team.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I got Natalie watching me, and she'll tell me, "Hey, you're doing this wrong, or you might be flashing this angle," and yeah. But he needs that as well. I totally understand that, having magicians on your side, people that know the ins and outs of everything.
Well, you're also still like in Las Vegas when he's out front doing his Orange Lemonade Canary trick. I'm setting the floating Ferrari illusion and all the set pieces, or helping dancers getting out of props, and you know, I helping him with quick changes. You know, as he goes into his 50s number. At the time, what was amazing that at that time in Las Vegas, the only material he had was material from his TV special. So the early days of Vegas with him, he was doing all the routines you'd see on the TV specials: the Jewel Thief, the Tower Illusion, floating banner stream Ferrari. So, and he had a live orchestra back then. It was pretty freaking exciting those days for me. It
Amazing.
Was like crazy.
Do you have any like pictures from that time, like a photo album just that you have? Or is it all just a blur and you didn't think about it because cameras weren't what they are nowadays?
Well, I know. Sadly, I don't know why. I mean, I have a lot of burned-in memories in my head, of course, but I don't have I have very few, maybe 2 photos of me and David, because I kind of like, I don't know. I don't know why. I just felt like he was becoming a friend, and I was working with him. I didn't want to be like, hey, can I get a photo? Can we do this? You know, like I just didn't really kind of, wasn't in retrospect, if I could go back, I of course would have taken a ton of photos, because it would be a great memory bank of stuff for a book or something, right?
Well, it's also just so special and such great memories that you can share with, you know, people down the road and down the line.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. Who was that lecturer you saw that Copperfield wanted to look at the notes? And do you remember the lecturer?
Yeah, it was a guy named Jay Marlborough, it was called Magic from the Forks Hotel, and I guess he worked at the Forks Hotel where another famous close magician worked, Eddie Fector.
Yeah, which became 4F convention. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, wow.
Yeah.
So, Hollywood Magic Castle, Natalie and I, on our honeymoon, went to the Magic Castle. We actually vacationed in Palm Springs because I wanted magic a part of my honeymoon. And I knew that I could get to the castle from Palm Springs for at least a day of magic. And I got there like at noon. I was like, all right, what do I need to do to check in? They're like, we don't open till 4 or 5. All right, I just want to know. I have my bearings now. I know where the place is at. I didn't want to get lost in traffic or get lost.
We took pictures that early.
Yeah, we took pictures in the AM and everything. And then we walked to Mann's Chinese Theater and Hollywood Magic. And
the Wax Museum.
Our thing was Hollywood Magic for us. We just knew that Lucy and Desi Arnaz bought props in there. Yeah. And then going through the history books and everything, all the movies that brought props from there. And what a rich, crazy history that place has. And now it's no longer there?
Yeah, it's sad. It's 100%. Yeah, it's really sad. It does have an amazing history. And it is sadly no longer there. It was... yeah, it's really kind of sad how it ended in kind of an ugly, tragic way, and I don't even really know all the specific details because I had stopped working there for quite a while when it continued on for years after I stopped working there. But the owner, Louis St. Pierre, was getting old and wheelchair bound, and so his son Greg St. Pierre, who basically taken over as manager of the shop. And I think he was out of town on vacation, and his sister, who apparently didn't care about magic and needed money, got her father to sign a power of attorney. And then while Greg, the son, was out of town on vacation, she had power of attorney, so she just went behind his back and sold it. Aww. And liquidated everything off. And so it ended not in a good way.
If the magic community could have stepped in and done something. I mean, 100%. I'm way out in Virginia. I would have done something to, you know?
Yeah, well, it seems like if it was only to make money, which I don't know, I can't speak the truth of it, this is what I'm hearing, but if she wanted just to get money, it could have been done in a way that it's gone to the right person, maintain that shop, and she would have gotten money, and the shop history would continue on, right? So it could have been done a little nicer. And now, when I walked by there the other a few months. I went to Musso and Frank's, which is just down the street from there. The old famous restaurant, still open. But I went by. I don't know who bought it. Somebody must have bought it, but it looks completely different from the front. It looks like they changed it into like a private residence or something, or a recording studio or something.
Wow.
It's not like a storefront anymore. It's like gated off.
Well, did they sell illusions in there? Because I mean, you talking about selling Copperfield things, but I've also heard other people inquire about illusions in there. But when we went in there, they didn't have anything bigger than parlor size.
Well, they had as I recall, they had a zigzag in the showcase, in the front showcase, and I think a head chopper or something, but that was the extent. And I think they had we never sold it. I think it was just for display, but like on top of these cabinets inside the store was a dollhouse illusion.
Okay.
That no one ever, I don't even know how they put it up there.
I didn't know if they mail ordered the bigger stuff out, because I mean we were just in there for like 20 minutes, and all right, well, let's go to the castle. We were chomping at the bit to get up to the castle.
Any free illusions was just for display.
Okay.
I mean, just decorate is what they had, but yeah.
All right, well, next on my list of notes here, Halloween just passed, and you are really, in my world, you're really well known for the for the Addams Family work that you did. Was it 3 movies you were involved with the Addams Family?
That's correct. There was 2 that were through Paramount Pictures, Addams Family and Addams Family Values, and then Saban Entertainment, who were the ones responsible for Power Rangers and all their franchise. They had they bought rights to do a direct video version, but they didn't have theatrical release rights, so theirs went direct to video. And the only original people for that version was myself and Carl Stryken, who played Lurch. And Tim Curry played Gomez, and Daryl Hannah played Morticia, and some other old-time actors were some of the other parts. I think it was Alice Ghostly, who was in Bewitched and stuff. And so you had some of these iconic character actors. But it was still good. They didn't have the budget of Paramount, so a lot of green screen, and it didn't look quite as well, but it was Tim Curry did a really great job actually as Gomez, and it's a cute movie. It's still good. But yeah, that was the third one.
There are so many famous people in all those movies. I mean, did you keep a relationship with any of them from those movies?
Well,
or is it like any other job?
Well, I mean, these people, like the Paramount ones, it's Angelica Houston, who's like a major film actress, right? And
Christopher Lloyd.
Raul Julia. So, this is my first movie. I'm not a real actor. I'm just don't even barely know how to function on the set and what's going on. But I'll tell you, they were the most gracious people, and they treated me like a regular actor guy, and thing was considered a real character and role in the movie. So, but I'll tell you a couple of stories that I just remember filming a scene with Angelica Houston that day, and I think that night she was up for some award, like Golden Globe or something, and I was comfortable with her just enough, and I said, good luck tonight on the award show. And she said back to me, "Oh, thank you, Christopher." And that blew me the frig away.
Wow.
How does she knows my name? She is not some prima donna, uppity actress. She called me by my name. It was really genuine, right? And
you immediately looked down for a name tag. She knew it.
No, it was really, it was just a whole level of new respect for her. She was always really, and her and Raul Julia gave an amazing little, Tiffany box as a parting gift, and it was like a silver, I don't know what it is, like a little silver medallion kind of thing, but it has their name inscribed in there, with love from Raul Julia and Angelica. And so just classy people. And Raul Julia, I don't know, you maybe remember this if you've just seen the movie again. There's a scene where, they shoot, as you know more than anybody, they shoot movies out of sequence usually. So one of the early scenes I did was with Raul Julia, where Thing is running to get help, and Raul Julia is all distraught in a motel room and disheveled, and Thing grabs a spoon from a cereal bowl and starts the Morse code, send help, Morticia in danger, blah, blah, blah. So I'm under a table, I'm looking at a monitor. my hands locked into the table, and I'm doing a few scenes, and then the director says, okay, let's do one more, but make it really frantic. It's the end of the movie. You're racing for your life to try and save Morticia. You're frantic. Okay, I think to myself, okay, frantic, excited, okay. But I look in the monitor, and I feverishly, as he says action, I grab the spoon out of the cereal bowl, but I grab it so aggressively, I hit the edge of the bowl of cereal, and it starts to, it's like slow motion in my mind. I look at the monitor, because I'm under the table looking at the TV screen, and I see this cereal bowl kick into the air, flip into the air, and starts to spin, and the whole bowl of cereal and milk lands on Rogelia's face. He's covered in milk, and I think to myself, oh my God, this is like my third day of filming. I'm going to be fired. I'm done. This is terrible. And then they yelled, cut, and then Raul started laughing, and then the crew started laughing as he wiped cereal out of his face. So I thought, oh my God, thank God, this is like, he's a great guy. And
wow.
And so just a lot of little things like that you go, oh, they were really amazing people, actually. But yeah, no, I don't, they're big stars. I don't, I don't converse with them. I will say like another friend of me, you probably know him, Todd Carr, who writes a lot of magic books. He ran into Christina Ricci somewhere at some, mall or something. And he said, oh yeah, hi, nice to meet you. I'm a fan of your work. He said, oh, a friend of mine was a thing in the Addams Family. And she said, oh yeah, he was a really nice guy. Yeah, say hello. So the fact that they even remember me on any level is nice. But no, I don't.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I don't
well,
talk to them.
I'm telling you, I only get really excited for certain guests. I mean, I like all my friends that come on here, but man, I was excited about you. I had to do a gig today, and I'm playing on my steering wheel thinking about talking to you tonight, and I'm all excited, and I'm pretending I'm Thing. And man, my hand was cramping. I mean, trying to walk around and do this thing, and how was your hand cramps? Did you have to ice your hand at nighttime? How did that work?
No, I did. No, that's a really great question, because a lot of people think it's just some movie effect, and it's not. I shot every one of those scenes. I shot with the real actors, right? So if I'm arm wrestling Raul Julia or painting Angelica Houston's nails, all these scenes I'm really doing live with them. And so what they do is they have something called a motion control camera. So basically, if you lock off a camera and shoot me, and then I step away and they shoot it again, and what they do is they erase my body frame by frame, and then the second shot of the camera they use to fill in where my body would be, right? So I had to shoot everything twice. And so it took 4 months to shoot all this because of so much timing it took to shoot all the shots. So they have a thing called a motion control camera, where the camera now is computerized, and it's tracking me down a hallway. And then I step out and they track the same shot exactly because it's duplicated. And then when they erase my body. So you get these amazing special effects shots of Thing running down the hallway or Thing running across the street.
So were you on a skateboard in that scene? Because you were running pretty fast.
Yeah, different things. They had like customized kind of flat cart that was to the ground that they could push me on.
I don't even
so
know if
you're
I
right
could...
when you say like your hand. The reason you have legs and shoes is because you take your leg muscle to carry your body and shoes to protect your feet, right? So when my hand is running across asphalt at 2 a.m, freezing, and the sheer of pain shooting through my fingertips as I bounce on the top of that asphalt is really, really painful. Because it's, but because there's no, I don't have little pads on my finger. So the other thing that's people don't realize too is that that movie was actually first owned by Orion Pictures, and they were going through some financial struggles and were going bankrupt. So they ended up mid part of the filming selling it to Paramount, and then everything kind of changed in terms of budgets and stuff. But there was no, the script would just say Thing runs to the door, Thing scampers to across the street. Like there's no real direction, and so I had to come up with how it moved, the characterization. You have to think things like also that because my hand's attached to my arm, if Thing jumps off the table onto the floor, you have to compensate for gravity, right? You can't look like it's floating. So you're always having to be aware of sustaining your body upright, how gravity affects the hand dropping in the correct time. I would try and think of ways that the hand could be interesting. Because here's I'm going to give you another Hollywood tip that I did. I know probably everything, not everything, but I'm probably one of the foremost hand actors now in terms of understanding hand acting, right? So if you see a Disney movie, and like the movie Cars, for instance, the headlights become eyes, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
Beauty and the Beast, the candlestick. At some point, you see eyes, and eyes are always the soul of a character, right? Well, the hand doesn't have eyes, so how do you convey the soul? And it's hard to do, so you do it through mannerisms, right? So I said, I'm jumping up and down, excited like a puppy dog. I run so fast, I slide around the corner like Charlie Chaplin. I'm creepy like a spider. I'm nervous and I shake. I run so fast I bounce over the wall like a Buster Keaton movie, right? So I was trying to think, how can I make the director, because they would look at the dailies, with the daily shots of what they shot the day before. I wasn't allowed to be in those rooms, but the director and the producer were, and I'd hear later like, oh, they laughed at what you did. They thought that was funny. So I kept trying to, and they started adding more scenes for me because they said, oh, this is going to be a great special effect for the movie. So they added scenes that weren't in the movie the first time.
That's awesome. When you say he slid around that corner, I'm just replaying those scenes. When you mentioned that stuff to me and shaking, it's flashing back. It totally makes sense now. I mean, it was awesome. It was great.
Yeah.
It
is what it is. You can only, it's not like I'm, Marlon Brando, but I try to give it personality that I think people resonated with. They feel like it's a humanistic. However, this hand, we don't know how the hand got to be how the hand was. Like, what happened? Was it a full body? Was it born like this? There's really no backstory for Thing, but I think people feel like it's a legitimate family member, right?
Mm-hmm.
A character.
Who was the original Thing in the television show?
Well, the original, that's a good stumper, too. I'll tell you, I know a lot about I've done a lot of history reading of all the first series, and the black and white TV series is what I first remember growing up watching. Thing was that, if you look at the credits of that TV series, it says Thing, it says itself. It doesn't even name who really did it, just calls it itself, which is interesting. But the person that actually did it was Ted Cassidy, who played Lurch.
Okay.
Actually played Thing.
Okay, maybe I did hear that before.
There was one other guy. There was a few scenes where Thing was in with Ted Cassidy, who played Lurch, and there was another actor. And actually, I met that guy on the set, and he came up to me and said, I played Thing in the series. And I go, okay. But I realized he didn't play through the whole series. He just played it on the scenes where Lurch was in the same scene as Thing. But yeah.
Wow.
So.
I can imagine you challenging him. Well, can you do this? Can you run down the hallway like this?
Well, that was the idea. That in the series, Thing was always in a box, right?
Yeah.
Handing the mail, in the phone. So they took it out of the box, which kind of gave it more freedom, which was kind of cool. So
I love it. So I know I said it before we got on taping, but I mean, we watched it this Halloween, and I'm digging through my old photos, and I'm showing my little girl, look, here I am with Thing. It's actually a magician friend of mine, and it's so awesome. And dude, I have a picture with Thing on my head, and then I have another picture of Pose next to you. And I've showed the picture of Thing on my head more times than I've showed the picture of me with you.
Aww.
But I've showed the picture of me and you a lot, Chris. A lot. But maybe a couple more times extra have I showed Thing on my head. But dude, I love you and your hand.
Well, no, I appreciate that, but I will take offense to any of that anyway, because I'll tell you, the shot I did with you with Thing, I used to do those on the movie set all the time, because they would take 2 hours of makeup, like a little prosthetic rubber stump they would stick on the top of my wrist, and then they'd have to blend it in, and so it took 2 hours to do all the makeup work. And actually the guy that, sadly, he just passed away, but the makeup artist that I had, that I sat in a chair 2 hours every day for 4 months with this guy, and he was amazing. Man, super talented. But he used to do Arnold Schwarzenegger's. Arnold Schwarzenegger was a personal makeup artist for years and years and years.
So cool.
And then when Arnold ran for governor, then he became The Rock's personal makeup guy, because he was so highly known in the business. But so here I have this like amazing, talented guy, and he loved watching I Love Lucy. He loved old Hollywood movies. So we would sit there, and he would put on I Love Lucy. He loved I Love Lucy, and I would sit there for 2 hours, sucking his brain about movies and on the movie set, and he would like educate me. And there was another guy that I got to be friends with. I would be under like sets, where they'd put my hand through a hole in the floor, and I was locked in there, so they'd send me a little film PA to like get me water, make sure I was okay, if I needed anything. But this guy, because he was a film student, I say, okay, because I didn't know anything about the film business, And I say, well, okay, who's that guy over there? And who's that guy? And he would tell me who these people were. And I go, oh my God, I'm like in a major friggin' production. Like, this is insane. Like, it's good I didn't know, because when I went to the audition, like, I wasn't intimidated, right?
Right.
I wasn't intimidated, you know, because I didn't know who they were. And then after I find out who they are, like, oh, that's Owen Rosman. He won a cinematography Academy Award, and he's the one who shot The Exorcist. And this is Dee Dee Myers, and she did editing on this. Like, oh my God, these are like major people. This is insane. But yeah, thank God I didn't know at first. But
well, that's really the way to do it. You don't want to go in there all nervous. So when you're underneath that thing and your arms thing, I don't want to say thing, sorry. When you're underneath the platform of the stage and thing is sticking up, shoulder pain, elbow pain?
Well,
did they have pillows? I mean, you can't just have your hand sticking straight up in the air for 12 hours.
Well, it's not 12 hours, but I'd say it could be 4 hours, because what happens is I get there, and then they get some, you know, furniture pads where I'm laying on them, and they put a little monitor, and then they have what they call the sides, which is a copy of the script that's going to be shot for that day.
Yeah.
And they're like a little tiny version. So I'm got my my right hand's through a hole in the table. Like one of the first scenes I shot, actually, I think it was the very first scene, where I'm playing chess with Gomez. So here I am the first day. I haven't been on a movie set to know, like, okay, what do I do? Does he call action and I go? I don't even know what I'm doing, right? So, and Thing doesn't have lines. He's responding to the actor's lines. So I have to figure out when I move and do something. So some of it I'm just improvising on the spot, like, okay, how do I play this scene? But I put my hand through the table, and then the set decorator comes in, and they start to patch in all the little holes in the table so my hand looks like it's sitting on the table. Well, that takes 30 minutes. And then they're lighting it to make sure my hand's lit properly, and that takes another 30 minutes. So now I'm there for like close to an hour getting the lighting set and my hand set. Now the blood's rushed down on my arm. Now they call in the A-team, which is Angelique Houston and Raul Julia. They're going to bring in the last minute, but everything's set because they just want to basically roll for the stars, right? Because they're already going to have to adjust the lighting for them. So, and they have stand-ins, right? So I'm there for 45 minutes to an hour. My hand's blood. Now my fingers are numb, and I got to look at this monitor, and I've got the little sides of the script and the clip to my fingers, and I'm trying to see what Raul Julia's lines are while I look at the monitor, because I've got to move a chess piece like a video game now, right? I'm looking at a monitor, and I got to grab a chess piece and move it onto a square, so you lose depth of field with a monitor, right? Because you don't. It was really.
Golly.
As a magician, I'll tell you. If I wasn't a magician, I say this every interview I do when they ask me about it. Was it hard? If I wasn't a magician, I could not have done this role. It was so technically difficult that if I didn't have the magic skills, I don't know who they would have got to do it. It required so much precise hand movement and dexterity.
I hear you telling me all this stuff, and I just hear some old agent. So you want to be in Hollywood. And, you know, it's like they have no idea what it takes to do anything in television if you're not in it, you know?
Right. Well, and yeah, like the scene with the second movie, the scene opens up with Thing, I think it's the second movie, where he's on a roller skate, but he's doing it like a skateboard. So they send me this storyboards of Thing flipping skates and spinning around. I go, and I'm just laughing at them, at the visual effects supervisor. I'm laughing. I'm going, this is crazy that you're asking me to do this, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure this out. So I start looking at videos of skateboard kids doing stunts and tricks and spins, and then I take a skate that they gave me, and for 2 weeks I practice spinning on the tips of my fingers, spinning the skate. If you look at that movie, the second movie, you'll see Thing is flipping the skate. That's all real. That's me learning how to do that stunt. And I'm going up and down a wall. But what they don't realize is that I can't really go up and down a wall because they're shooting at a different film rate. So they super glue this skate onto my fingertips.
Oh, gosh.
And the weight of this, after a few takes, the weight of the skate rips off my fingertips. So they got to re-glue it. So, yeah, there was a lot of...
Glue was the best thing they could think of?
Well, yeah, I mean, basically,
wow.
It's
wow.
So there's a lot of untried. It was sort of uncharted territory in a way, right? But it was great. The visual effects supervisor, I worked with Barry Sonnenfeld, who was the main director, and actually, I just bought his book, and I was shocked to see actually a photograph of me in the book, which is fantastic. It's called Call Your Mother, and he was a famous cinematographer. was it Raising Arizona? He's won awards, and then Addams Family was his first directing role. And so this book talks. I haven't even read it yet. I just got it like 3 days ago.
I saw your post on Facebook on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it was pretty cool. I go, oh, that's pretty cool. And he mentioned I mean, that I don't have control of any of that. Or even in the movie, when I watched the screening of the movie, they fly us up to New York for press junket, and then I'm sitting in the screening room where they're showing the cast the movie for the first time, and I see my name pop up in the beginning. Well, usually agents have to negotiate that, right? Okay, I want my actor, Marlon Brando, be above the title, right? It's that classic name above the title, or I don't want to share, card with another actor. I want my solo card, or special appearance by, right? Those are all negotiating toys. So those people, I guess, that producer, respected me enough, or my work enough, or that role enough, that I'm in the upfront credit of the movie. Now I'm shared with Carl Stryken, which is fine. But just the fact that I have my name in there is like, so yes, I think I did a good job. I worked hard, but I'm the luckiest person in the world. I mean, I was how life unfolds, right?
That is so awesome. So I'm doing research on you, and like I said, I had a gig, so it was pre-show today, and then I'm driving 3 hours on the road today. Idle Hands came up. Was that your hand in Idle Hands as well?
Yes, I did. I'll tell you a funny story with that too. Is that I guess it's the way Hollywood works, right? Like I do the Addams Family movies, and then I get a call from my agent, and he says, "Oh, an agent called me. He wants you to do. He's interested in having your hand be in a horror movie." So I think I'm laughing because I think this is fantastic. It's like I'm now like Sharon Stone, where like or whoever that now that's even a dated actress. But at the time, I felt like she was the big star. I'm thinking, oh, I don't even have to audition anymore. My hand just, I'm offered movie roles with my hand. This is fantastic. So
your hand was typecast, is what it was.
Well, what's funny, I'll tell you what's funny about this is that, so I go, yeah, I'm interested 100%. So I go and I meet with the director in his office somewhere in Hollywood. And he goes, all right, yeah, you did great work in Thing. And but, Thing is a really lovable character. And this character for this movie, Idle Hands, it's evil. Can you play evil? And inside, I'm rolling out. Go, oh yeah, of course I can do evil. And I'm going to tell you secretly, like, what's an evil hand? I just move slow and creepy, right? Like, I just move slow and creepy. You put creepy makeup because I've been burning a microwave on there. Now that was a fun role to do, and I met Jessica Alba, who that was her first movie, and now she's a billionaire. She has a company called what's it called, like Honest or something. It's home cleansing products, but they're not environmentally safe and good for around kids and stuff. But she it's worth apparently $1 billion. So here I am working this woman that later going to become a billionaire. But and Seth Green, I became friends with Seth Green when we were on the set there. So it was fun doing that movie. But it was different than Thing, because Thing was its own character. I played the evil hand when Devon Sawa, the character, he cuts off his hand because it's possessed, and then I become the evil hand. So yes, it is my hand. It was great doing that movie, but it's not its own.
It's not the same.
It's not quite the same, but it was still super cool.
And the legacy of Addams Family is just bigger than Idle Hands. Like my wife, I don't think she's ever seen Idle Hands. Have you ever seen Idle Hands?
No.
Yeah.
Idle Hands became Idle Hands didn't last long in the theater because right during the same time the Star Wars reboot was coming out, whatever that first remake after the originals were.
Okay.
But it became a cult, but it was a huge hit on DVD. Like it became a cult favorite with like college kids. So it did well in its own little marketplace.
Well, I mean, so with your hand on display at Planet Hollywood, is that credited for Addams Family or Idle Hands, or is it credited for both?
No, that would just be Addams Family.
Just Addams Family.
Yeah.
I mean, you could put a little tag underneath, also Idle Hands. So what other movies have you been on? Has Chris been on, not just your hand?
Well, my hand actually it's just weird that my hand. I'll tell you another couple of funny stories. I guess I'm an old timer now. I have Hollywood stories for you now. I guess I've been around a long time.
I love it.
But after the Addams Family and Idle Hands, my agent I'm not an actor. I always hated acting. I don't ever count me to be an actor. I did a play, and I can talk about that later if we have time. We're running out of time here. Put all these crazy stories I'm telling you, but my agent said, you know what, we need, because after the Addams Family movie, and Christina Ricci, who played Wednesday, her next movie, she made like $1 million, right? Because she became so famous from Addams Family, she blew up, right? Well, my hand can't really blow up like Christina Ricci, right? Because there's not a face of the hand. So I do idle hands. I did some TV movies where I played a disembodied hand. I did some of that stuff. So I made money. There was a McDonald's commercial that was always during Christmas time. Usually McDonald's had like a movie tie-in. So they'd said, oh, if you buy this Happy Meal, you can get this Addams Family movie for $10 or it was free or whatever the promotion was. So I shot a McDonald's commercial specific to that. So I made money just shooting that specific because they used me for that. So there was a little side things I did. There was an RCA commercial for some cable or TV thing or RCA or Direct TV or something, whatever at the time. And they showed it was like that RCA dog looking at the movie, and they showed a clip of my hand from Addams Family, and the dog was like all confused by watching that. So, I get paid for that little thing. So
wow.
There was a lot of hand stuff I did, but so my agent says, hey, we got to get your face out there. I'm going to, can I start submitting you for like acting things? I go, well, I'm not an actor, but okay, sure. So I don't know if you remember, maybe your wife watched it, a show called Angel, which is a spin-off of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I know of it, but I never saw it. Yeah, I know of it.
So there was a spin-off called Angel. And so there was an episode where the theme of the episode, there was this crazy, maniacal doctor who was stalking the young, pretty character in the movie. But this doctor he had some weird ability. He could take his hands off, and then the hand would crawl through the mail slot, unlock the door so we could break into the girl's apartment and stalk her, right? So my agent had me reading for the crazy, maniacal doctor guy. So I read for that, and then a couple of days later, my agent calls me and says, all right, I have good news and bad news. I say, okay. And he goes, well, they don't want you for the doctor role, but they do want to hire you for the disembodied hand crawling inside the apartment. So I lost the roles of my own hand. My hand is a better actor than me.
Wow.
It's a better actor. It's done more movies. It's done half a dozen movies, TV movies, and I've done none. So
yeah, well, you lost the role to your hand, but you still got the paycheck, so it's okay.
I still got the paycheck. But I tell you what got me into SAG was because the first time you do some SAG-related thing, I forget what's it called. It's called Taft-Hartley or something, where you can do the first one not being a SAG member, and then the next time you get a job, you get to join. So there's a Columbo episode that I did where every year the Columbo would do a magic episode, right? Some magician dies or whatever on stage, and then Columbo has to figure it out, right? There's always those detective magic episodes. So this one, there was an episode of this, and then I got hired as a magician on the graveyard where they're doing the broken wand ceremony, and I produce a bouquet of flowers and toss them up in the grave. So I am in that as for the 10 seconds I'm on screen in that episode. And then my first hand role, let's say, was Juice Newton, Queen of Hearts. They did a music video. They were playing with the Queen of Hearts, but it was a music video where the music videos were first kind of starting to explode back then. And so, every time Juice Newton, the country artist, was singing, she had a lot of big hits, Angel in the Morning.
Well, this had to be before Addams Family, way before Addams Family.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Way before. I'm saying that was my first introduction in doing something on film with my hand
okay.
only. And you can find that on YouTube and stuff. Actually, it still holds up. It's kind of cool. But I'm like a gambler. It's just my hands producing the Queen numerous times.
I'm gonna Google that as soon as this is over. That is awesome, man.
Okay. All right. But yeah.
So, what about your I don't want to give away too much. I don't know what you even call it. The zombie act that you do with the female hand. We have 12 minutes left, just to give you a heads up. I know you have to run. He's on the board at the Magic Castle in Hollywood, and I know you have to run. So, where did that come from, and how long you been doing that act?
Well, it's again, when you go think about like how my life unfolds, like everything that happened in my life, not to get too metaphysical and whatever karmic, whatever the word is, like I think back, like the fact that you mentioned like magic, the Hollywood Magic is closed now, right? Like I think of all these things that in my life, and probably your life too, like where they're like windows of opportunity that open for you, and then you jump through that window, and then that window closes, and you go, oh, it's sort of like this weird, like another world, that the dimension that gets you places where you got to go next, right? So Hollywood Magic So the glove thing, yeah, I'll circle back to that. So the glove thing happened because I was doing my act, and I normally end with a trick called Zombie, which is a silver ball that floats around, and it's fine. It's a great trick. It's a classic trick. I do lectures on that trick. A lot of magicians don't like that trick. Really, they don't like it because it's done poorly, because it's actually a difficult trick to do well. But
right.
With that said, it wasn't really a statement-making trick. So I had an idea of like, well, what can I do? I said, I like fashion. I like costuming. I said, women's club. And I'll tell you who inspired me, and you know who this person is. Actually, she's working at the castle this week. I watched her last night, was Tina Leonard.
Okay.
Tina Leonard does an act where she comes out as a washerwoman, and then she sits down, and then she brings this coat to life that is like a male comes to life. The hand pops out of the sleeve, and transforms her from ugly duck into beautiful woman. That's the nature of her act. And I thought, this is really interesting. She's developing a character with a person on stage without actually having to have that person there, right? It's a whole story. And I thought, I always liked that. So I said, how can I have a female on stage without having to hire a dancer? Because it was hard to work with dancers. You got to pay them extra. I wasn't making a lot of money doing shows. So I thought, women's club. Well, what can that do? Okay, come to life. Then I had an idea for a methodology that would make the glove crawl around on me. And who helped me a lot with that trick. So one day I developed a basic version of this crawling red glove. And I went to a friend of mine who actually links back to some of our earlier discussion, Don Wayne. Now, Don Wayne was a magic consultant, creator.
Wow.
Brilliant guy. And I became really good friends with him because I got to know him really well working with David Copperfield. I had met him before that, but then I got to know him really well because he was David Copperfield's main magic consultant, and developed most of everything David did in terms of the methodology, helping with David. David's brilliant too. I mean, they were an amazing team together. So I went to Don Wayne on his lunch break, and he had another magician there working with him. And I said, hey, can I show you this on your lunch break? So I went over there, and I showed them this glove crawling around on my body a little bit. And the magic friend said, I don't really get it. And Don Wayne, he lit up, and he goes, that's great. You've got something there. I go, great. So Don Wayne, he loves animation effects. He created an effect called Pranky Hank, where there's a dancing handkerchief dances around the stage. And David Copperfield did in his TV specials, and he marketed. He also did a floating ball. He loved animation effects. So when he saw mine, he was intrigued with my methodology, and that I had kind of stumbled on a new technique. So he helped me a lot. And he's the one that, at the end of the act, the glove drags me by the end of the coat, drags me off stage. Because I never had an ending. And
so awesome.
Thinking, how does it end? How does it end? And one day, because we came up with endings, but I wasn't satisfied with them, right? I said, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. And Don Wayne said, okay, we'll leave the props here. I left my props with him. He said, let me play with it tonight, and I'll see what. So the next day I came back, and he put in a videotape. He said, tell me what you think of this. And he did my glove dragging him off with my props. And I go, this is it. This is incredible. Now, maybe eventually I might have discovered it. It's possible I would have discovered it on my own because it was my props, and he was doing the trick with my props. So it was there all along. I just didn't see it, and he figured that out. So he's a brilliant man. But so it all kind of links back to me working at Hollywood Magic. If my parents hadn't moved away, I wouldn't have moved out on my own in Hollywood. And I would have, I love film and television. So if my father sent me to college, I would have taken film and television, but he couldn't afford to do that. So he moved. I said, okay, well, I'm going to move on my own. I'm working Hollywood Magic. And okay, maybe I can be a magician because I don't have a choice. And so then you meet David Copperfield, and I meet Don Wayne, and I develop my act, and we become friends. Like, it's everything kind of, it's weird if you just trust life in a way and follow your gut. Like, things might work out, right? It's hard to do that, but you just got to always trust yourself. And
dude,
anyway,
it sounds like you hit the lottery in so many different times, man. You just
yeah,
right place, but hard work. I mean, you gotta put in the work. If you wouldn't have put in all that work on the Addams Family, they wouldn't have wrote you more stuff, and they might not have hired you for the second movie. They might not. Right. They might have let you go. I mean, you put in the work, though, dude.
Well, right. And what's weird too is that I developed that hand trick, that glove trick, before I did the Addams Family movie. And
that's what's weird.
Videotaped it. Yeah, I just videotaped it at the Magic Castle. So when I went on for the audition, I brought them a VHS tape, and I have no idea if they ever looked at it. I have no idea at all. But it showed me animating a woman's glove so they could see me doing a hand thing. So now what happens, because movies are so powerful and they play around the world, now when I go to Germany or Spain, France to do a TV show, and they're promoting, and now they can talk about Addams Family, and now I'm doing a disembodied thing, I'm calling it Thing's Girlfriend.
Right.
Now it all ties together, but I didn't plan that out. Like that was just life unfolding. And I'll tell you another weird analogy. No, it's not an analogy, but well, it is kind of an analogy to this. Is that I love reading the Steve Martin book.
Yeah.
But there's a couple things that Steve Martin, it's called Born Standing Up, and it's it's a lot of his life story. But there's 2 points in that book that are so amazing. I know we're going to wrap up in 2 minutes here. That are so amazing that in the part of the book he says he got so popular he started playing stadiums, right? And he said to his agent, he said, "Well, they're not going to see me. I'm in a stadium. Okay, I'm gonna wear a white suit so they can see me." Well, that's stuck in my brain because I thought he didn't plan out, I'm going to be the white suit crazy comic guy. That's not how it happens. Like, he goes, oh, I'm in a stadium, I need to wear a white suit. And now that becomes his iconic thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he's the white suit comic guy. So it's hard. Like, people try and plan their perfect act, right? And you can't really do it. You have to, like a singer trying to make a hit song, you just keep writing. And maybe you'll have a hit, maybe you won't. You can only just keep creating, right? So... Well,
and when I saw you do the Thing's Girlfriend, it totally made sense. I thought you created it after the Addams Family.
Right.
No.
I had no idea.
No.
That's amazing.
No.
So, I know you got something new coming up. You're going to start doing Comic-Cons now?
Well, I kind of ran into agents over the years, and I never really could kind of pursue it or find out about it because I was always kind of traveling. Just, once you do a movie, after 4 months, I stopped getting paychecks, so I had to start performing, right? So that's how I would make my living. Anyway, cut a long story short, now it's time of my life. I reconnected to another agent, a new agent, and she seems really great and has interest. So I'm in the process of making a deal to maybe try this out. I don't know if it's going to be popular, but she seems to think that, oh, no, Thing is popular, and you're going to, come to these conventions and sign some photos and make a little money. So we'll see how it works out. It's just another potential. I want to brand, I see how much Addams Family's loved. Tim Burton is doing a reboot of Addams Family TV series, and I tried like crazy to try and connect to him, and I couldn't do it. The bottom line is if he wants to find me, he can. I'm accessible. He's probably seen Addams Family, but a lot of times new producers, doing new projects, they don't want anything connected to the other project. So, but the bottom line, there's an animation one, the second one they just did. They have Thing in there, even though I'm not part of that movie. The brand is still alive and happening, so maybe it would benefit me, doing these Comic-Cons and get the original.
So what about a website for you, Chris, where people can find you?
I'm embarrassed to say that I'm the worst guy in that world, and I don't have a website.
Okay.
But it's high on my priority list now because I've got a show coming out. I'm not really supposed to talk about it. I can talk about it a little bit. But there's a show coming out on Fox called I Can See Your Voice. And it's coming out now. The producer just called me, and they have a release date in January. And I play a magician. It's basically a show where the contestant has like a dozen people that he has to figure out who's the real singer and who's not the real singer. So they have an accountant, a track star, a baker, the magician. So I played the magician character, and they have to, or the magician role. I mean, they pick people who are really that person. So I'm a real magician. They have a real baker. They have a real, whoever. So real student. And that person has to guess who can real sing and not. So that's coming out in January. At some point, I'm not sure what episode I'm going to be on, but it's being broadcast in January. So I want to get a website so that people, because I got some good exposure on that. So people want to find me on a website, and then I want to put photos up. So if they want to maybe buy an autograph. So.
And what about Facebook? What about Facebook for now? And then they can find your website later.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. Christopher Hart. What is it? Christopher Hart Facebook. Christopher Hart. Yeah, Christopher Hart Magic, Christopher Hart at Facebook. I have a public page, but I'll be honest with you. Luis D'Amato is a famous magician in Portugal.
Right.
Helped me set that up, and I haven't touched it since. It takes too much work. I know I'm supposed to be doing that, so maybe I need to revitalize that.
You talk to me, Chris. I'll get you set up. I'll take care of you.
I have my regular Facebook page, but, that I guess you could follow me. You probably know far more about social media. I know you know more about social media than I do. I'm trying to learn it now. I guess I don't have to add you as a friend. You can still follow me, right? But so, yes, I'm on Facebook, Christopher Hart. I don't know if it's Christopher Hart Magic. Facebook/Hart Magic.
We'll find you. Chris, we're out of time, man. Thank you so much for doing this. We got to get you back. I got so much more to talk to you about. Thank you for doing this. I have one plug. Stay on the line real quick and we'll get out. We got like 40 seconds left. Our TV show, Wes Iseli's Magiclife, has now been picked up by Golden Media Syndication, and they're selling our show all across the country. Check your local listings to see if we're in your area, and if we're not, ask your local cable provider, and maybe we'll be soon. See you next week. Check us out online at wesisley.com and patreon.com/Wes_Isley for behind-the-scenes videos, blooper videos, never-before-seen footage, discounts on merchandise, magic trick tutorials, and more. That's Wes Iseli, spelled Wesiseli.